Hello and welcome to K Money Art 7's art page. Today I'm going to be drawing Moon Girl in Marvel's Rival style. So let me go ahead and walk you guys through the process. So, with making Moon Girl and in the Marvel Rival kind of texture and concept, I start off with a sketch. I really started with a stick figure, but then I go from a sketch. I do focus on more of like a dynamic pose. I wanted something that's going to be young, expressive, and really cool and hip, just like Moon Girl. So I did like a kind of open expression. I wanted to go ahead and use the original picture that you saw in the beginning as kind of a reference as to how I'm going to age her up, just to meet Marvel Rival standards. So I went ahead and instead of giving her like the t-shirt and short combo, I gave her a cute little jumper romper set, which is so like cute, adorable, and definitely something I wore honestly when I was like 12 or 14. But I feel like, it still fits Moon Girl. So I'll just go through and I'll just start off with the 6B pencil in Procreate and just really get a nice sketch going. I just kind of base myself off the references. I use basic shapes and then work my way from there and just kind of fill in the texture and how it looks and how I want it to reference and make it look more human-like. So I also included her bubble blaster, her roller skates, and her boxer glove to give real big indicators that this is our girl, okay? This is Lunella Lafayette from the LES. And yeah, so once I'm done with that, I do go in with the syrup brush and I do begin to start clean line work. With the Marvel Rivals look, you'll see that they don't, you see a little bit of line work, but it's not like super heavy. It's really blended in. So I just kind of start here just to make sure I'm giving her shape right before I start the rendering process. So you'll see I kind of start at the center of the head and then I worked my way down. I made it to her body and to her suit. With her age up in her suit, I did want to kind of course, keep it youthful and keep it appropriate. I also did want to add cool new elements because Lunella is already super smart. Moon Girl, aka, is already really, really smart. Like, she's already a genius at that young of an age. So she's just only going to get smarter and better as she gets older. I wanted to include kind of like that element of adding neon aspects to it, which you'll get to the end. So I kind of added like these little gears on her suit, as well as like a little TV in her suit so she can speak with Devil Dino, her right hand person. Well, right hand dino, I guess, in this case. And yeah, so once I go through, you'll see I kind of finish out the skate. I really, I'm getting really attached to the art style of having like a thicker outline and a thinner inline for like minor parts of the design. To here, most of the weight of the line, most of the weight of the line work is still pretty consistent. But yeah, so with weight line like artwork, I feel like people don't really tell you, but it's just kind of how hard you're pressing at certain sections, whether you're making it a little bit thicker in certain curves and everything, which honestly makes it fun. Now for the fun part, we're going to add color. So I do go ahead and start with the skin. I did want to go ahead and get that part out of the way, as well as just getting the base color of what everything is going to be. You know what I mean? When you are rendering, I didn't know for a long time what people meant by rendering. Yes, I have my degree, but basically it's just bringing and applying a 3D to a 2D surface by using different lights and techniques and layers to go ahead and make it look more three-dimensional. So for that, I started here with the base colors, and as you can see, it looks almost like a coloring page. It's going to be very, very, very 2D, and then we'll work from that. So as I go through forward, you'll see that, once I figure out my base colors, you're going to see me go in and add what is like a shade layer. So I finished that. There's the shade layer. With the shade layer, I'll just go to multiply, add the layer, and then I'll just lower the opacity. So once I do that, then I go in really with, where I'm going to want shades to be. Then I'll do that. And as you can see with the skin, I started to render. I did start to, apply lighter colors to give that 3D Marvel effect. Now with Marvel style, you can see it's kind of similar to Arcane as well as Into the Spider-Verse with, a painted kind of texture look. Now I didn't use a specific 3D model for it, but with my degree and, as well as my experience that I've gained from just, in general, working with different textures and just continuing to experiment with my artwork, it started to come out more like their style. I did reference Penny. I did want it to be like, now Penny won't be alone. She'll have someone else similar to her around their age, trying of like, being a playable character, which I feel like is very much possible. So that's why I made this model. I did start to go in with, darks. As someone who, I respect all artists and I want everybody to grow in their journey, I always suggest with the value scale, which is really helpful in rendering. You start with the darker shades and work your way up. Oh my gosh, ignore that, you guys. So I started to work my way up, and then I added my highlight. Now the highlight is very much Marble Rival style. They have a highlight, and then they do use kind of like the 3D glasses from the 2000s. You can have a blue and a red portion. So I just kind of put the blue and red portions in very thin line artwork around the highlight areas. And then boom, I made our girl, you know what I mean? I got her bubble blaster. I added like neon aspects to her floating roller skates. Yes, she has flying roller skates. Her jetpack backpack. Yes, I said jetpack backpack. Yes. And then also to her bubble blaster, I added a very high tech cool look to it, as well as in her gears, you can see like a neon kind of electrical feel to it, just to, really emphasize our genius girl growing up. Because, Moon Girl, Lunella Lafayette from the LES, is always going to make her super suit fit the occasion. So I went ahead and add that aspect. I even wanted to add like a little bit of like a highlight kind of behind. I did end up taking it away because like I just didn't feel like she needed it. Her character herself came out amazing. I decided to add her aspects of putting her on a moon and the stars just to fit her vibe. And then yeah, that's kind of how I just started her and just really got her character design. Now we're moving forward to actually making it look more Marvel style. So you'll see with Marvel Rivals that they have a style of adding geometric form of the character behind the character. So I took Lunella, I copied and pasted her top half, flipped it, and then kind of started to go ham. I just put in some different triangles. I put in some a whole bunch of trapezoids, diamonds, like I put everything up in there. So with the style, they use the white highlight to emphasize which character it is. So I first copied her, you got her signature bun, and then I wanted to include for her highlight her signature goggle, kind of like boxer helmet. So I did combine both. I put her goggles and I put her helmet. The helmet is from the original comics, and then the goggles is more from the Moon Girl series made recently by Marvel. And yeah, I just thought that would really emphasize her. And then I went ahead and added that white background and the lines at the top of the bottom and still included that star aspect. And then for her emblem, I didn't want to just do a moon. So I did a moon and a star because she's a star. So I thought that would be really cool. I made her a strategist. I put in her mechanics and everything. And yeah, that was honestly the hardest part, was putting in the words, but it was still worth it. And that's I had so much fun making this design, you guys. Like, this is one of my, I'm proud of all my artworks, but this is definitely one I'm super proud of. I'm happy I could do our girl Lunella justice. I do believe that she should be out of the game. Of course, I, submitted my character. Yeah, as you can see, I submitted my character submission. I kind of went through, gave her mechanics. There's so much more to her character, gave her game dev. And I'm hoping that they can, kind of make the adjustments that need to be and have her in there. But if not, that's okay too. I mainly made her for us, for me. I love Moon Girl series. I love everything about what this character does, the comics. I feel like she's very influential, very inspirational for young people who look and, may be just like her, as far as being a genius, and just enjoy her. And not only that, but even Devil Dinosaur in the game said he really misses her and that she's the smartest girl. So I believe it can happen. I have hope that we can make it happen. So thank you guys. You can definitely like AK Money Art 7 and just support, and everything counts. And I really appreciate you guys for being here and just watching me through this process. And I hope you enjoy and continue your art as well. Even if you're a viewer, just thanks for being here.